Yagan Square, the new heart of Perth. Architecturally impressive and overflowing with culture. Named after a famous Noongar leader, it's been designed to unite the city, not just physically, but to connect it emotionally, using food, art and stories. One of the most prominent features of Yagan Square is this statue behind me, and I have an admission to make. For months I thought that was Yagan. Not the case. Sometimes it pays to either read the plaque at the bottom of the statue or speak with someone in the know. Like this fella, Noongar elder Richard Wally. Richard was one of the traditional owners consulted during the planning, construction and activation of this meeting place, and it's a project he is very passionate about.
Most people who come here believe that it's Yagan as well. They see the statue and they see the name Yagan Square, but it's not Yagan Square. It's actually called Wirran. It's the spirit of the place. There's a lot we call the infusion of culture and cultural narrative, creating a sense of place. So you see the canopies here, they're shaped like the original lakes that were around here. The digital tower represents the swamp area because there's reeds coming at it, but it also represents the water tower that the trains used to stop and fill up on. So lots of stuff here have meanings from a cultural context, but they also got their modern interpretation.
So you were part of the original group that got together to think up how this place was going to be. What was part of that process?
The leaders of the day, a fellow called Kieran Kinsella, was absolutely brilliant. He brought in the Aboriginal infusion into the story. So my role is to say, what's the original stories here? What happened here? This used to be a meeting ground. It was a place where people shared food. It was a transition ground. So we transferred those into the modern application. It's still a meeting ground. They're still sharing food and creating stories.
While Richard knows these stories like the back of his hand, you may be surprised how many other people can share the yarns too. Karen Jacobs is part of the Wadjak Working Party, who've put in place a first for tourism in WA. So Karen, what's the most interesting thing about the way this story is being told?
I guess it's really from hearing from Aboriginal people about what the significance and the values of this area is. And culturally, there are so many significant aspects. If you take away all the buildings and all the structures, there was a huge amount of use and people occupied it almost on a permanent basis. So having the story told through the eyes of Aboriginal people and by Aboriginal people is really, really important.
The shop owners know the stories as well, the security guard.
Well, it's been really important that everybody that has a business or that works in the area actually understands what those values are and how they reflect on the environment before construction.
Dual-purpose artworks, dual-role employees. This is the destination that just keeps on giving. And you never know who you'll find enjoying a meal or just kicking back in the heart of the city, including this guy, actor Jim Morrison, who just happened to be the first man to portray Yagan on film. Well, that was a very nice way to spend some time here in Yagan Square, catching up with Richard. I caught up with Karen, and then I saw you, Jim Morrison, the original celluloid Yagan.
Yes.
How lucky!
You are. Well, it is your lucky day. It's my day off.
What are you doing here?
I come for a feed, a yum cha. I mean, Yagan would never have heard of a yum cha.
No.
Yum cha's up there.
What, should we go and get some yum cha
No,
now?
I've had it.